All right, let's talk about the track Boss Moves. It is absolutely packed with these incredible system hacking metaphors. And what they do is frame this whole personal journey like it's a video game, an epic one that you can actually win. So let's dive right in. You know this one line? This is basically the key that unlocks the entire song. See, it's not just a story. The lyrics are literally building a world where personal growth is a game. And the language it uses, it's all pulled from user interfaces, from workforce policy. It's this amazing story of emancipation, but told like the narrator is a hacker, breaking the system from the inside out. So, who's playing this game, right? Well, the story kicks off with our narrator identifying as an ABAWD. That stands for Able-Bodied Adult Without Dependents. Think of this as your starting point, your level 1 character basically. And the whole point, the end goal, it's to level up and become an Aboss, this empowered, system-changing force. The entire song is that journey, that transformation. Okay, on to level 1, scoping the map. And just like in any good video game, the first thing you've got to do is understand the world you're in. You have to learn the rules, find the edges, and just figure out, what can I even do here? And bam, the journey starts with this super bold claim. This isn't just some vague promise. The narrator is flat out declaring they're about to go past any known boundaries. And that rocket emoji, it tells you everything you need to know. This is the launch. So let's really dig into this extent metaphor. It's not what you think. It's not a wall. It's not a dead end. In game design, or even just on a website, the extent is just the edge of what you can see. It's a boundary, for sure, but it's one you're meant to push. You scroll past it, and boom, there's more of the map. So what the narrator is doing here, and it's brilliant, is reframing a limitation as an invitation to go explore. Okay, so how do you actually explore this map? Well, like any good game, there are rules, kind of design doc, if you will. The player gets 4 core abilities: social, economic, environmental, and digital, and you can use those abilities on 6 key elements in the world. Things like soil, water, you get the idea. You do the math, and that creates a system with exactly 24 possible outcomes, 24 moves you can make. And that leads us right here to the number 24. Now, this is not just a random number. It's like the foundational code of this whole world. It's the total number of moves available. I want you to really hold on to that number, because when we get to the next level, you're going to see what it really stands for. All right, level 2, breaking down doors. So we're moving on from just understanding the map to actually taking on the obstacles. This is where things get real. It is time to start breaking down some doors. And there it is. Remember that number 24? Turns out, it wasn't just some abstract piece of math. Nope. Each one of those 24 potential outcomes is a real-world barrier, a bureaucratic gate, a locked door standing right in your way. I mean, this line is just so visceral, right? We're not talking about politely knocking or looking for a key. The language here is aggressive. It's disruptive. Shook it open? Okay, that suggests you're forcing it. But ripped off the hinges? Man, that is a whole other level. And this just lays out the difference so perfectly. These doors, they're metaphors, right? For all those bureaucratic barriers, all that gatekeeping. Shaking them open, yeah, that'll get you through. But ripping off the hinges, that means that door can never, ever be closed again. This isn't just about getting yourself through, it's about changing the whole system so it stays open for everyone that comes next. Now that is permanent change. Okay, so the doors are down. Now what? Well, welcome to level 3, inside the trench. This part is all about the grind, but it's not just about doing the work. It's about understanding how that work gets measured and, at the end of the day, how it's valued. So the whole vibe kind of shifts here. We're moving from breaking down doors to being in the trench. This is about being on the front lines, doing the actual field work, dealing with all the admin. But check out that slot machine emoji. That's a huge hint that the time being spent here, it's like a big gamble. It's an investment, and you're expecting a payout. And this brings us to the absolutely brilliant wordplay on spent. It's a total double entendre. On one hand, yeah, it's about time passing, but it's also about time as a currency, a resource that you invest. The whole line implies that every single hour you put into this grind is being tracked, logged, and basically turned into capital. And that takes us to the final level. You could call it the boss level. All that time you logged in the trench, all that grinding, well, now it's time to cash in. Time to get that reward. This right here, this is the payoff. Cash that token, that's the big moment. It's the conversion, where all that hard work finally becomes something real, something tangible. And then what happens? The narrator puts on my lenses. It's a signal of a totally new perspective. The final level up is complete. So what exactly is this whole time to convert mechanic? Well, it's a really clear 3-step process. Step 1, you put in the hours, you do the grind in the trench. Step 2, you exchange that time for something of real-world value, like funding. That's the cashing the token part. And finally, step 3, that investment pays off with new skills and a totally new perspective. You put on the lenses and you see the world differently. The transformation is totally complete. So there we have it. We've gone through all 4 levels of this lyrical game. We watched the player go all the way from an Abawd to an Aboss. But what does it all mean? What's the big takeaway here? Why use these specific metaphors to tell this story? You know, you can actually boil this whole story down into a simple 4-step process. First, you scope the map to understand the system. Then you break the locks to get access. After that, you measure the grind to prove your work's value. And finally, you convert that grind into actual power. Scope, break, measure, convert. It's such a powerful and honestly a repeatable formula for making real change. And using metaphors this way, it's just so effective, and for a few really important reasons. First off, it takes something boring like compliance hours and turns it into a form of equity. You're not just checking off boxes anymore, you're actually building value. Second, it gives dignity to all kinds of work, whether it's out in the field, behind a desk, or coding. And finally, and this is amazing, it somehow speaks the language of policymakers, tech people, and artists all at the same time. It is a total masterclass in communication. Which really just leaves us with one last question to chew on. The real power of these lyrics is that they give us a whole new language for looking at our own challenges. So think about it. What's a door in your life? What's a locked system you're up against? And maybe, more importantly, what would it take for you to not just open it, but to rip the hinges clean off?